Beep, 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 beep. Hello, hello, hello. Well, have we got news? Become warrior teacher. Last call going out, ready for August. It's burning down the road at us. It really is. Okay. Yes. Breaking news. A great big piece of news on the March of the Body GC. Yes, what we have here is a massive news blister on the heel of the feet marching towards freedom. And it came from a Twitter source, so let's thank Mrs. or whoever it may be, Leor Sapier. Link is in the Dubris for you to follow. We'll begin with the thread that Leor has completed for us, and it's huge. And then there's an article that you can look at, which is also in the tweet, so that's been archived as well. I'll pop it all in the Dubris for you to have a look at. Please do, first of all, before we begin, subscribe to my channel. I need more subscribers because I'm deboosted everywhere. Right? It's just insane. Or I seem to be. I'm not making progress. That could be because I'm Marmite, right? You know, but hey, what? Let's just do this breaking news of this huge heel blister on the foot of the GC March. 21, get it? 21. Leading experts on paediatric gender medicine from 8 countries have written to a letter to the editor of WSJ Opinion expressing disagreement with the Endocrine Society and its new president, Stephen Hams, over the treatment of youth gender dysphoria. Do not underestimate how big this is, okay? This is great news in the sphere of the medicals, right? That's the most important thing, in the sphere of the medicals. So, although they have commented, says Leor, on the problems of the American affirming model in the past, especially in regards to the CAS report, this is the first time international experts have publicly weighed in on the American debate over gender affirming care. This is why it's so important. Among the international experts is Dr. Rita Caltiala, chief psychiatrist at Tampere University Gender Clinic, author of numerous peer-reviewed articles on trans medicine, and Finland's top authority on paediatric gender care. The letter follows an illuminating exchange between at Do No Harm and at the Endo Society, at Stephen Hames in the pages of at WSJ Opinion. Right? Okay. Which, again, you know, there's a link there to it, a conversation that took place 6 days previously, and another article to accompany that. The letter states that while the Endocrine Society president and gender-affirming care practitioner, Dr. Hams, may think, this is glorious, may think his own clinical experience and existing research supports his position, his belief, and here's the quote, is not supported by the best available evidence. This, dear Mr. Hammers, is what's currently known as a shafting. Fatty, sir, with your nonsense belief system. And I have no idea why you got in a position of power to enforce it. It mentions in this particular letter that unlike US medical associations, health authorities abroad have relied on systematic reviews of evidence from the benefits of hormonal interventions and found these benefits to be without reliable evidence. That's enough. It should stop now, shouldn't it? Without reliable evidence. To recall, the main value of systematic reviews is that they don't just summarise the available studies, but assess their strengths and their weaknesses. This is key because proponents of child sex trait modification frequently just mention individual studies. So this is an examination of many studies for those of you that are not in the know about what this systematic review does. All the studies come into play and they examine them all for their efficacy and truth and reason, whether they've not been properly resourced, whether they've been falsely conducted in the first place because the research was not robust enough. So this is a real examination, and that examination has led to 21 of the top players in the game writing to the Endocrine Society and Mr. I believe in gender Hammers. Okay? Do you get how huge this is? Just pause for 1 second and say to yourself, is this huge? And the answer you must come up with is, this is huge. speech. Okay, so yes, this is very good news. Dr. Hammes claimed that gender-affirming care is a suicide prevention measure. These bloody people. The international experts say in their WSJ letter is contradicted by every systematic review. Not one. Not one, but all of them. Every systematic review says that Hammes is wrong. It's glorious news. Dr. Caltiala had previously called the affirm or suicide narrative purposeful disinformation. I love this. This is the speech of the professional classes in the medicals, the professional classes, and is saying that the affirm or suicide narrative is purposeful disinformation. Whereas I would say, hey, Hammes, you lying twat. It's just fab, isn't it? It's just fab. So there's these professional, kind of jibes and, shaftings, which is what this is. And it's promotion, the promotion of the purposeful disinformation of the affirm or suicide narrative is, given the contagious nature of suicide, which we know, is irresponsible. Brackets, not brackets, speech marks, is irresponsible. I'd say it's downright criminal. But then there you go. This is, again, it's the academic speak, isn't it? Got to be polite. I think, Hammes, you criminal. It's such good news. The politicization of transgender healthcare in the US is unfortunate. Right, the international expert. This is just understatement, isn't it? But is it really, or is it just maintaining that professional tenor to the great news today, and showing that, in fact, what is at the heart of this letter that they've written is the care and the need to save young people from butchery of people who agree with Hammes that this actually prevents suicide and is some kind of God-given mission that they should be on to alter the bodies of young people and children, let alone the adults. I don't think it should exist at all, but then you know that. The politicization of transgender healthcare in the US is unfortunate. The way to combat it is for medical societies to align their recommendations with the best available evidence rather than exaggerating the benefits and minimizing the risk. I think, like eugenics, it needs to go full stop. They don't go that far, but then they've got skin in the game. And Lior, then, being a super person, has provided the WSJ.com, which is where it comes from, the WSJ.com article, so that you can read and inwardly digest yourself exactly what has been written by these people. And the article itself is called Youth Gender Transition is Pushed Without Evidence. It's not like we've known this all along for the last 3.5 years. We would know his name. It's pushed without evidence. When this is done, when it's all is said and done and the world's gone back to being relatively normal 10 or 15 years from now, we've got to stop this sort of thing from ever happening again. We've got to recognise what caused the inertia. Where was the constipation? Where was the blockage in the lower intestine of the human race? Where was the blockage? How did it get there? And how did it stop? And what did we imbibe that made it happen? That's what we need to not imbibe, eat. So we need to know what the blockage was. So that it never happens again. I was having this conversation with my warrior teachers who said to me, how long do you think it is that we're going to have to keep talking about this stuff and realigning the stories and the narratives that we have in the grand scheme of things when it's all been so blown apart in such a short space of time? And I said, the rest of our lives. You don't become a warrior teacher just for the next 6 months. You become a warrior teacher for the rest of your life, because we've got to make sure that gender identity, queer theory, critical race theory, critical social justice, the lunatics of Just Stop Oil, we need to identify the mechanisms that made them appear, identify the mechanisms that we can use to destroy them, and at the same time understand and ensure that the message goes right down through the generations that this must never, ever happen again. That's the game. Come join us, all right? Go read. Go read. Go read. Take joy. Take joy on this, a day of joy, that we now have a huge blister on the heel of the marching feet of the gender criticals. and that this is massive. Get your head around it. Come join us. Come and be a warrior teacher. We're going to spend the rest of our lives making sure this never happens again, that we never harm children in such a way again, or adults for that matter, that we never listen to nonsense and we never take on ridiculousness as we have done with critical race theory, queer theory, gender ideology and eco-nutters, right? The whole thing, the whole lot, this critical movement. Come and join us, because we literally are going to spend the rest of our life traumatising young people to the extent that they understand that this must never, ever happen again. See you later, peeps. Bye.